Da da da. Did I figure everything out? Is everything correct? It's hard to say sometimes. There we go. There we go. Wonderful. And just like lovingly brush the mat. Lovingly make the mat look correct. Good morning, Kimber. How you doing today? There's always cat hairs all over this thing. It's kind of an inevitability, maybe. I just need to accept that my cat owns everything that I own by virtue of hair. Oh, so it goes, so it goes. I just thought of something really obvious and smart for how I could mount this camera to be even taller than it is. Maybe it's not actually that smart, but oh well. I'll figure it out at some point. One of these days I'll be a real streamer. Let's see. There we go. I knew I had the cable out of shot in the previous stream, and I couldn't figure out how I did it. Haha. Correct. Well, for everyone who's joining us already, hello, welcome. This is my weekly Friday stream where I am going to be here for a couple hours. I'm also going to be here for a couple hours later today where I am happy to take any and all questions about anything I've ever done, but definitely want to talk about Oracle Dice where possible. I'm also happy to do readings for anyone who is here and who would so like to ask questions for the dice. I do have technically 43 dice here. I don't actually have my astrology d12 as part of the new set, but I do have the 21 other dice of the Keykeepers here. They're just stickered. So this tells die, the horse face. And I also have, of course, the Seasons dice. And I'm happy to mix and match and do readings with them to show you how the dice work. That's generally my goal. Why is there a YouTube video suddenly playing? What's happening? Oh, I see. Well, why'd you do that? I was watching a live stream earlier, and I guess it must have ended, so it started autoplaying. Which is kind of funny. Oh, it's doing the whole thing where it's like, I don't know where your camera is. What camera? That's okay. It's funny that I had YouTube literally minimized, and it still was like, cool, we'll play a video for you. It's like, oh my goodness. What do you mean all of my tabs? I don't have any tabs open. Don't be silly. I do have a ton of tabs open on my computer. I guess I have a lot of tabs open on my phone as well. That's not my fault. I was watching the Dead by Daylight live stream where they were announcing the Five Nights at Freddy's crossover. This was going to be the first information we received at all about the Five Nights at Freddy's DLC for Dead by Daylight. And for anyone who doesn't know, I am a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, so I was quite excited for that. It's a creator thing to have a lot of tabs open. I don't know. I think that it's a normal human being thing. I have a lot of tabs open because I'm just super cool. Yeah, the live stream for the Five Nights at Freddy's DLC just happened, and I gotta be honest, I was a little underwhelmed. Um, they they were covering a lot of other things. It's their ninth anniversary, so they were talking about other stuff that was happening with the game and their platform and everything. But when they finally got to the Five Nights at Freddy's portion, it was so short lived, and they showed a tiny teaser that just told us that it was Springtrap is the killer. We were like, yeah, okay. And that was basically it. They were like, we're not going to tell you anything about his abilities. We'll show you some pictures of the map, but no gameplay, no video. It was like, okay. They're like, Matthew Lillard will be a skin for Springtrap, and Matthew Lillard recorded voice lines for us. And I was like, oh, okay. Is that it? We don't get to hear anything to do with how it works. And they were like, nope, that's later. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm pretty sure their whole like release thing is in late June. So I would imagine that they will be sharing that stuff soon. It just seems weird they didn't do it during their ninth anniversary live stream. And I think it's because they were doing it live from PAX, so they had less control over how much time they had. So I imagine that they'll do another live stream soon from their own headquarters that'll be like, let's actually get into here. um, at least I assume that's what they would end up doing. Ha 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 ha. How will the Springtrap DLC for Dead by Daylight go over? It all went over that way. People are going to be a little frustrated. Ooh, I see. I mean, there's sorrow over here. It looks like there was finally the end of a journey. It leads to some sorrow. People are a little disappointed by what their expectations had been. It looks like the disrepair here really shows like how much things may have faded for what they finally chose to do for Five Nights at Freddy's by the time they get to it. Ooh, I don't know. This is a pretty sad reading for Springtrap fans. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it went over a little poorly, because I think that they're aiming for some of the core basic Five Nights at Freddy's things, but the games have moved so far. So who knows? Hello, good morning, Fear and Ramen. Welcome. That does sound sketchy, doesn't it? Let's do a daily general reading for all of us, right? Like, what's some nice things that we should know about? Ooh, I lost somebody there. I'm putting him here, but he is not on the mat proper. Oh, in the core, we're returning to the sorrow. Maybe this is just about me, because I'm sad about Five Nights at Freddy's. So it looks like there's some sadness today. Let's not be surprised if things feel a little bit sad. Ooh, where's my face? How come my face is gone? Which are you? Wait, where am I? So I'm video capture device 1. And when I go here, video capture device 1 is gone. Well, why'd you do that? Haha, hello, it's my face. I don't know why that went away. I'm sorry, y'all. There we go. And like, I don't know why I disappeared. I really don't think I changed all that much here. Okay, I'm back. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure when that got deleted, but that's okay. I will eventually learn how to be a real streamer. So, for today's rough general reading here, right? We have sorrow in the core, which is telling me there's definitely going to be some things that we're a little sad about. I'm thinking that really ties into me struggling really poorly to get this stream working right. A couple times now, it didn't help that my phone started auto playing a YouTube video. In our minds, we are looking for a compass. It is tied here to radiance, which is telling me that we're probably facing some things that are really blinding to look at. This could be really positive stuff, but it also can just be things that are a little bit overwhelming. It's coming out of spirit, which is telling us that maybe what we're feeling is really, really big right now. And so logically, what we're looking for is an actual path forward that isn't just blinded by how we're feeling for the day. It's really leaning on the within here, which is telling me that it's very, very personal to us. It's not something that's widespread. Over here in body, I do see a wound, and we also see freedom, a desire to get out of situations, maybe shirk some responsibility. Wound in body is usually how we are physically affecting the world around us, and wound is definitely telling us that it has to do with us being hurt maybe in this practice, us trying to affect the world or give the world information, change what's going on in the world. We're a little harmed by this process, and that is definitely tied to our desire to not be part of it. The birds are literally flying away from this direction, heading towards the core. So whatever we're kind of feeling the sadness, the mode about, it looks like that might be something that we're actually kind of hoping to just sit in. If some people maybe received some difficult news lately, you may be tempted to just kind of sit in it and stew in it for a while. That's so relatable, so I would not hold that against you. Let's see. We also have haste. This is the action die. And haste is telling us it's time to act quickly. It was in here without, so it's telling us that there's probably very limited time opportunities or openings that are unfolding in the world around us that we really need to pay attention to. If we're not looking at what other people are doing, we might really lose our goal here. Over here in autumn and material, I also see oppression as our obstacle face. It's telling me that, especially because of its proximity, we might feel very much that the world around us is kind of giving us a level of oppressiveness that's making it a little difficult for us to do a lot in. That's probably also like we're trying to do work and then we feel like we get hurt by the world as we try to like take part in it. Way over here, lost to the reading, it fell off the reading into my lap. We have the carriage, which has to do with completing a journey and feeling like things are ready to be set to rest. Since it was lost to the reading by falling off the mat and the table, it tells us that it's something that's coming back way later. This means that the world around us maybe is going to come to a close on this journey that might be keeping us feeling like we're not able to take part, but it's not a today thing. This could be a tomorrow or next week thing. Keep in mind, this is our daily reading, so we're really focused on what is affecting us right now. And knowing that whatever's stopping us from taking action right now will go away is really great, because it means that we're not going to be completely out of luck if we do kind of shirk our duties and just sit in the space of being like, today really sucks. Sometimes today sucks, and that's okay. You just do what you can to make today a little more fun, and then you come back later next week when you can get some of your work done. We also have the closet in spirit, which is sitting on its own. It's telling us that probably some of the sadness that we're dealing with is stuff that we're not quite ready to share with other people yet, but we will eventually. It'll get out, and it won't be bad, and it won't cause problems. It's just not right now. We're just doing a not right now thing, you know? Let's be patient. So overall, looks like today might be a little bit of a wash for getting labor done, but that's all right. You know, we live for more things than just being labor workhorses. So I would say that be ready to sit with your feelings a bit. Get yourself a fun little treat. Be a little lazy. That's all right. You don't always have to work your 100% every day. And in fact, you really shouldn't work your 100% almost any day. Work like 75 to 80%. And then on the days like this, settle down for your 10%. Do a little bit to coast by and then chill out. There's better days ahead. I love Kimber. You asking how will the comic prequel to Event Horizon go? I also just saw news about that, and I stared at it for a bit because the news didn't explain anything. It just said there will be a prequel to Event Horizon, and I was like, uh huh. And what is it? And the art looked all comic-y, but it didn't say nothing about the fact that it was a comic. I was wondering if it was maybe animated. So now that I know it's a comic, I'm like, okay, sure, why not? So how will it go? All right, random dice, go. He's off screen. I'm so excited though. I want to see it. Me too. Me too. I really love Event Horizon. Event Horizon is such a classic, like sci-fi horror flick. Like, if you haven't seen Event Horizon, whenever I think sci-fi horror, I actually think Event Horizon first. Um, when I was doing my sci-fi horror, like extra pack of cards for my ghost storytelling game, What We Possess, we immediately, I was like, we need the gravity drive from Event Horizon. So I sent just pictures and videos of the gravity drive to the artist, and I was like, just crib this. We're stealing this idea from Event Horizon. It looks so cool. We want it. So, how will it go? I see community in the core with good intentions. Um, it looks like even if good intentions maybe don't work super perfectly, the community here really is supportive of the good attempts for this Event Horizon comic. I see Fuel's pathfinding. It looks like they are following their breadcrumbs right up to the movie because I know it's a prequel, which is great. Mal's Empty Sun is out in spring. It looks like maybe they're coming from kind of a place of nowhere. I don't know if they're going to do a super good job of setting up what leads to where we are in the movie. Just meaning that they might take some liberties with what the background setting information is, since we didn't necessarily get all of that in the film, which, you know, could be a choice. If they just start like diving into backstories for all the characters there in unrelated ways. In body, everything has its place, has its time, maybe how it's interacting with the world. I think that on release it might not be fully lauded and loved, but it looks like by the later days it'll be understood to be like a really good chapter leading up to it. I do see radiation out in autumn. That's not good. I think that public reaction might be a little bad. um, but I do think that it gets its time later. There's just a lot of toxic fans out there for things. I would be surprised if there's super toxic fans for Event Horizon of all things, but you never know. Sometimes people just get really mad about things. Maybe they'll put a trans character in it and a bunch of the chuds will get upset about it. That kind of stuff happens. We do have Obsession in Spirit, which is telling me that maybe people will get really obsessed with the fine details and it just won't be there. However, I am seeing like we'll eat well, you know. Emotionally it'll be there. It'll hit a lot of the stuff that we loved and missed from it going away for so long, which is just to say having one movie and then no prequels or sequels of any kind. So we should enjoy the people who are really here to feel good about the material, because it's going to be a physical object that you get to keep, and that's great. So, will it go well? The prequel comic to Event Horizon. It looks like it won't be bad. It looks like maybe some fans will really enjoy it who are there for the material, and other fans maybe will be a little rude. A little bit rude. I would not be surprised if it's because they include some kind of character that people are like, oh, diversity. No, the DEI, the woke. It definitely has room for more lore. You are absolutely correct. So hello, people who are here. I'm happy to do dice readings for anyone who has questions. Go ahead and just pop them in the chat. I'm happy to do them. I just did a couple of general readings, a few general readings actually. Yeah, if you just tell me a thing you want to know, you basically get a free tarot reading anytime for the next hour and a half that I am here. So join us. Join us now. Also, can I just say, if I do campaign page scroll, oh, nothing is working. Fascinating. Oh, how weird. Why is this being so difficult today? It's like all my cameras forgot what they were. Jeez Louise. Like even that's not right. Hold the phone. Now give the phone to me. Huh. I wonder what happened since the last time that I streamed on Monday. Everything just seems to be a little out of whack. I must have clicked something. I'm like, campaign page scroll, go. And it was like, well, are you ready to see nothing? Which is, I think, rude. I think quite rude. Video capture device 1, please. Fascinating. Oh well. You got your prescription for a handicap parking placard. I have to be honest, I had never considered that you needed a prescription for a handicap parking placard. But that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm not sure how I imagined how you got it. But huzzah indeed. I'm glad that you got it. B&W, would it be cooler to be a vampire or a werewolf? Okay, number one, I'm ready to fight about this anytime, any day, right? Um, I was at a restaurant with my ex, and the guy at the cash register was asking people if they would want to be a werewolf or a vampire. And then for the entire meal, my ex and I sat near the cash register and just like debated it. um, so yeah, that's. I think the obvious answer is you'd want to be a vampire, but other people were fighting me and saying that you should want to be a werewolf. And I was like, in some mythologies, werewolves died and became vampires. So just putting that out there. Clearly, the mode to get to is vampire. It's cooler. Also, like, what do you mean? Werewolves are. You're a werewolf sometimes. Sometimes. That's boring. Otherwise, you're just a person. Eh. Would it be cooler being a vampire or werewolf? I'm going to interpret this in, like, the most biased way. And I don't know who's going to fight me about it, but I'm ready. Fight me. I see Mercury in between the rising sun and Weaver. Okay, number one, that's fair. You don't get to see the sun. If you're a vampire, you never get to see the sun again. Also, yeah, Kimber, that's fair. Very bad sunburn. Storyteller, leaning mind, toppling. Yeah, okay. In one of these cases, you do have to kill to be alive. Depending on the vampire narrative here, either you have to kill, or at least you're gonna have to like bleed people, right? Um, we don't know that necessarily you have to kill anyone, but you will have to hunt people. So that is a downside maybe. And the Weaver here is a really good point. Like, storytelling is a really big part of these mythologies, so we'd have to determine which versions of vampires and werewolves we're looking at, because some, you know, historical folklore about vampires, like, doesn't even say anything about not being able to go out in the sun. So, like, you know, depending on which ones we're looking at, it could be very different. Um, we go like real old, right? And it was just like they are bloated corpses that get out of their graves and come out and feed and then go back into the corpses again. Um, get a herd. People are weird and blood dolls are easy to find. Kimber, you're not wrong. Uh, I will also say, like, I'm playing a Vampire the Masquerade game right now. Uh, and I don't think we've ever had issues in feeding. So yeah, let's go ahead and say World of Darkness vampires. It's very much the general consciousness vampires we have now. Um, they can't go out in the day. They need blood. They have some kind of abilities depending on what their bloodline is or how old maybe they are. Um, they're really sexy. Even when they're Nosferatu, they're sexy. So that's true. So what else do we got to that? Hmm. Werewolves. What kind of werewolves are we doing? Are we doing the werewolves where you only change in the moon? Can you change when you're angry? Do you have control over it, or is it purely a horrible curse? I guess if we're doing World of Darkness vampires, we should do like World of Darkness werewolves, which I believe they can be like pushed to turning into um wolves, but also they can control it and take like measured changes. Okay. So, that in mind, the sun is still a problem. You still do have to kill people. For both vampires and werewolves, I think you have to kind of like control your anger. Either of them have the ability to fly off the handle and get all like evil monster mode. So there's no real winning between those two. Though I guess for werewolves, you could just also not eat people, whereas vampires do have to. Um, in body, we have nothing, which is wild. That's the part that I would want the most information, but that's okay. In material, okay. I find it really rude that we have the sun coming up here. We have multiple suns going on. It's really stressing this idea that, like, hey, if you're a vampire, you only get to do stuff half of the day. And depending on where you live, maybe even less in the season. And that's fair. I'm also seeing sacrifice, but the graphic on the sacrifice face is literally like a knife plunging through someone's heart. So I am kind of seeing like if you're a vampire, you will get hunted. I feel like werewolves don't get hunted as much because they're also people and they're like trying to control themselves. They're not just running around murdering people. So I guess being hunted and people wanting to kill you, and also not being able to go in the sun, these are kind of downgrades for being a vampire. I do see logic here or order. Um, it I guess if we're talking about World of Darkness vampires, there's a lot of politics around vampires, and that's unfortunate. Um, I feel like I'm just seeing a lot of like bad parts about being a vampire, but I'll defend vampires to the death. I love vampires, so personally, I would really want to go that way. I am seeing over in Spirit the rubber ball. Like there is something here that's purely joy. That's not vampires. Vampires are usually about suffering and sadness and melancholy. And I am seeing guilt over here. Maybe a lot of us would experience exceptional guilt over being murderous vampires in the night. Um, I disagree with the reading. I think that being a vampire is way cooler, but the reading is like, hey, don't forget the many downsides of being a vampire. such as everything. So maybe being a werewolf is reasonable because, like, you get to keep your life exactly as it is now. However, if you need to defend yourself, you can become a horrible big monster. And if you don't even want to defend yourself, but you just want to go enjoy nature, you can be a dog and like run around. And that's pretty cool. Like shape-shifting powers generally are pretty neat. So, okay, I'll give it to werewolves that like if I want to keep my life as it is, being a werewolf is much more reasonable change because it adds a new dimension to my life without taking anything away. Being a vampire does necessitate that I probably like give up my friends and family and maybe start thinking big picture. And also, I can't do anything during the day anymore. Like right now, the sun is out, and in the Vampire the Masquerade rules, I believe the way it works is that when the sun comes up, like you fall asleep. Like it's not even a matter of you could just stay up all day in your underground bunker. You do actually have to sleep when the sun is up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kimber. You can probably like expend vitae to like stay up for a while or something, but I'm pretty sure you just kind of don't have much of a choice. You just fall asleep, which means like I wouldn't even be able to do this stream right now, and that'd be so annoying. I just wouldn't want to be a wolf specifically. Maybe another type of were would be superior. You know what? That's fair. Maybe we could also be like where whatevers. Like in secret halls, my were things are just like therianthropes. They have various animal forms that they can take. However, to become a were thing in my stuff, you do have to let that animal climb into your mouth. So the bigger it is, the worse that experience is. Yeah. The best stat. Aw, you make me think about my Secret Halls things. Kimber, just for you to know, Secret Halls does have a tentative release date next year. The artist is back to work on the art for that game, so I've been thinking about it. Vampires are my favorite too, but the dice make really good points that I would have to completely and utterly change my life to be a vampire. Being a werewolf seems like it's just an extra thing I can have. You have a thing with stuff going in the mouth for changing. What does that mean? Oh, that sounds so weird. I'm not weird, I promise. Also, Tales of the Alley. The end of the year, I'll be doing a short story anthology of a lot of stuff from the Patreon, but I'm gonna write a few new things that will just be things that take place in the world of the Alleyman, but also of Secret Halls, because the Alleyman and Secret Halls are like the same space, same world. For people who want lore. All right. Uh, Well, anyone else have questions? Questions for the dice? They don't have to be serious. They don't have to be about your life. B&W keeps asking really lovely, fun questions, like the one we just did, which was whether it would be cooler to be a vampire or a werewolf. And even though I am vampire all the way, the dice did make some cogent arguments for um, werewolves being better. Oh, well, Kimber, moth children and therianthropes, they're like the same thing. Something's coming out of the subversion world and like entering bodies. So they're like the same genus. They're just not the exact same species. Things come out of messed up doors and then they enter your mouth to transform you. This is just normal stuff. This happens all the time. Everyone experiences this. Oh goodness gravy. Oh gosh, I'm just gonna be stuck on this vampire werewolf thing now. So I grew up reading the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, and I do mean grew up. It was what I read in like middle school into high school. So it was so formative for me. And the interview with the vampire show that's been on AMC, it's just was such a delight. Oh, what a good version. Oh man. If you haven't watched Interview with the Vampire, which the first season is on Netflix, but I don't think the second season is, and the third season's coming, I think either late this year or next year or something. I know someone who's working on it, so actually I think I heard not too long ago like they were still like writing, so it might be a bit before that actually comes out. But the Interview with the Vampire show is super good. It's also so gay, um, which is amazing because the books are so gay. They're so homoerotic. It was wild to me when I watched Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise be Lestat and Louis in the movie in the 90s because they kind of have the homoerotic thing going on between them, but not really. But the show is like, these are homos. And I'm like, good, it's about time. Um, and no bi erasure here, right? Lestat's bi. Good for him. Louis is just a little homosexual, and we love that. They were good books until they weren't. You know, Kimber, I read all of the recent ones that she had put out before she died. And wowee, the Interview of the Vampire series, the Chronicles of the Vampire series got like messy. There were aliens, there was Atlanteans, there was uh, questionable clone slavery. She finally added like a relevant main black vampire, and the relevant main black vampire's character arc was I want to serve other white vampires. And I was like, oh wow, why? And she's like, well, because I feel fulfilled when I'm serving. And I was like, oh no. Anne Rice, what are you doing? They lost you at Body Thief? What? Someone swapping bodies didn't work for you? Fear and Ramen, yeah. There were aliens in the Vampire Chronicles. Questionable clone slavery. Oh, yeah. Y'all have no idea what happened in those last books. Um, Atlantis was there. There were aliens. The aliens called Replamoids found out that they could cut off parts of their bodies and it would regrow into another person. And if they clone themselves, the clones get dumber and more servile. And the further generations out become just like really good slaves. And Lestat was like, well, that seems problematic, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Have fun. And it just kept happening. And the other vampires were like, hey, can we please stop the Replamoid aliens? Because if they keep cloning themselves like this, they could overtake the Earth really fast. And Lestat's like, nah, they wouldn't do that. And then he talks to one and she's like, so I'm on the 16th generation of my clones. They're basically slaves. I should probably stop cloning them, but I don't think I will. And Lestat was like, this is fine. I can't explain to anyone just how wild those last books were. Um, yeah, Kimber, Lestat forced vampirism on David, who was body swapped at that point. Um, and then David was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Thanks for forcing me to be a vampire. But he sure didn't like it. I stopped at Vampire Armand, and I feel that was an okay choice. You know, the Blood and Gold and Blackwood Farm books, which were the last ones she was going to do before she went back to Christianity. And it was right around, you know, when her husband died, and it was very focused on Lestat just being incredibly alone. Like, that was really depressing of an ending, but it was fine as an ending. Jumping to what happened when she started writing them again for those last three books, where Atlanteans came in, and it turned out the spirit that made vampires was an Atlantean. That stuff was really wild. At that point, she had fully just been like, hey, editors can't touch my book. I'm Anne Rice. I'm going to publish what I write and you deal with it. And she really would have benefited from an editor or two. However, I will say, like, it made that experience so wild and kind of fun. You had to kind of look at it as though it was fan fiction because, aliens. Because aliens. Put that ancient aliens guy here. Uh, woof. What a set of choices. I could talk about the Vampire Chronicles all day long because they were such a huge part of my personality. So much of how I felt in my mind and my gender experience was like around these foppish homo vampires from the Vampire Chronicles. Really just formed who I was in such a massive way. Well, anyways. Oh, the shark was jumped. The shark was so incredibly jumped. Rip Anne Rice, she was a real one. She was a mess. She was a lot of things. Oh god. She had a lot of race stuff that was really bad in her ideas, and she also had a strange interest in sex when it comes to underage people. Like, yeah, the child vampire trope is interesting, but then there were also just children that vampires slept with. Looking at you, Armand. Oof, woof, woof, woof. I that all said, the messiness of her writing and what the Vampire Chronicles are inevitably going to make this show, Interview with the Vampire, the third season, and whatever may or may not happen beyond that, makes that the most beautiful, messy, compelling TV. Wow. I am so excited that we have a Lestat de Liancourt who is magnetic but frenetic and horrifying. We have never had that Lestat before, and it's great. Hi, sorry, I'm talking about the Vampire Chronicles, an interview with the vampire, because we did a reading about whether it'd be cooler to be a werewolf or a vampire, and I had to argue about how cool vampires are, but then I just started talking about the Vampire Chronicles because I love them a lot. Okay. Anyways, if anyone has any questions that are relevant to the dice, or who would like me to make a weird Oracle dice reading about a silly question, we're ready for it. We love silly questions. There's nothing too silly for a question. I have done readings on, unfortunately, Donald Trump. I didn't need to do that one, maybe. I've done readings now on vampires or werewolves. I've done readings now on how the Dead by Daylight Five Nights at Freddy's Springtrap DLC will go. And we also did a reading on how the Event Horizon prequel comic will go. So if anyone has anything, I'm ready to just do wacky readings. I'm feeling the mood to just be strange. And if you don't, I will. I will come up with a weird, dumb thing. How this Pope gonna be? That's a delightful question. All right, we're gonna do how this Pope gonna be, and then we're gonna do, is there anything attached to me I need to get rid of? Laura, give me a little info on what you mean. When does summer start? Tell me about that. Because I'm pretty sure summer starts June 21st. Right? That's the factual time. Nothing in the core for how the Pope gonna be. I do see injustice straddling mind and body, tied with good intentions. Oh God. This is something that I think is kind of inevitability, right? Where like there's gonna be good intentions from the new Pope that end up being an injustice for other people. I don't know a ton about the new Pope, but the only thing I've really heard someone say is like, oh, he's kind of looking like he's a centrist. Not to say the previous Pope was super progressive, but he was any progressive, I guess. So it looks like some things might get rolled back with the intent of being good to people, but it just kind of causes people to lose out on some things. I do see out here financial progress, but the arrow not going up necessarily. The arrow would be going over towards woe. He's not going to be very, very financially beneficial to a base of people who care about the Pope, maybe. I do have the rising moon here with whimsy and the falling moon. It looks like a lot of the things are going to come in and out um, because of what he's doing are going to like maybe slip under the radar, but they're going to change a lot. Yeah, he is from Chicago, but the thing is, like, he hasn't lived in Chicago for quite a while. He's been serving in, oh shoot, I don't remember where. It was either Peru or Ecuador, I thought. I could be wrong, but he's been in South America for like a number of years. He's critical of Trump. You know, that's one of those things where it's like the bar's pretty low. uh, there are plenty of horrible, horrible human beings in our world who are critical of Trump because Trump is just like going a little too far for them, which is wild. Um, we do have Rowan in material, which suggests to me that there will be some element of protection offered. Yeah, of course he's not friendly to the queer community. Why would he be? Who's going to be friendly to us? I do see the closet over here with the bow and arrow pointing at it. I'm really fascinated by this idea that he is going to like take some shots at things that are hidden. Um, but I would not expect that it's going to be stuff that is necessarily going to come out in like a super positive, progressive light. So how will the Pope be? Looks like he's gonna intend well. He's gonna try to protect people. It doesn't look like it necessarily leads to anything super great or positive, but it's also not the worst. Mm. Okay. Jom. Jom. I'm gonna call you Jom68. Is there anything attached to me I need to get rid of? I guess I should have done this, huh? I'm not being a good streamer. I was so proud of my streaming setup. Okay. Is there anything attached to you need to know about? I see home. I see pie. I see order. Star, I do see togetherness outside of you. First steps towards that. Foxglove with prima materia external to you. Jom. Jom68. My dear good friend Jom. I see that there is like the space of another person tied to you. I would say that whether or not it's like some kind of entity is not anything that's really shown here. But I do get the general reading here that something that you care about deeply, something that's just really good to you, is something that is potentially sticking with you. I don't see anything negative, but I do maybe worry a little bit about the foxglove and the prima materia here. Is there stuff that you've been doing lately that has maybe invited things? Because it looks like you were looking for maybe something that was open and moldable, and what you got is something that could be good, but in too big of doses could be poisonous. I'm not seeing anything negative external to you necessarily. I see two. Like there's definitely you and another person here. You are hanging out with multiple things. Um, and I do view house as kind of like you and your body. And there's these things that are very close and tied that are external to you, to your body. Yeah, maybe. But even if there is something, I'm not seeing anything necessarily bad. The only thing I have that's worrisome is foxglove, which suggests to me that like too much of this could be a bad thing. But as long as you keep things in order, things are okay. And obstacles die. I see peace in your spirit, which is telling me like there's a nice happy standstill. Nothing bad is happening. Nothing horrible is unfolding. You do have a goal that was tied to this, though. Were you inviting things? Is that how you ended up in the situation? um, just be mindful of how open you are being when you're opening up spiritually. If you open the front door, like a raccoon could get in. But no, I don't know. Things look fine. If things are hanging out, you can probably just have them leave. Just ask nicely. Do. Yeah, Laura K, you did have a question about when does summer start, but I don't know what that means. I know the literal fact of when summer starts. Do you want to know like when you can go outside and it can be really fun? Because that can be right now, as long as it's not a terrible temperature out. Go outside right now and have fun. Ha 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 ha. The Music Life asked how the weekend will go. How will the weekend go? The weekend will go. Wow. What's going on? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. The weekend is a time for thinking, I guess. The weekend is coming out of labors that we've laid out for it, but it is big and it looks like it's frustrating, and there's these outside influences that are arcane and unknowable, and that means the weekend kind of gets a little frustratingly lost along the way. The weekend's like tomorrow or tonight. I would like a cool, fun weekend. This reading is already telling me though it's going to be a lot of thinking and pondering and frustration and things that we have to let go of. There's nothing in body suggesting there's nothing specific that needs to be done this weekend, maybe, but externally we have the rising moon and we have inspiration. Oh, I don't want that. Um, for me, that means that I probably have a bunch of work I'm going to do this weekend because I'm going to be struck by a cool idea. I don't know about the rest of you, but it looks like you'll be struck by something that's going to make you think that you have a lot of things you want to work on this weekend, and it's going to kind of dominate your weekend. I definitely don't need that personally. In spirit, a lot of nostalgia and looking at old wounds and taking care of them. Maybe some healing there, but also nostalgia about the wounds, which is maybe not the best, because if you're healing the wound and you're being nostalgic about what happened that led to it, that's a really good formula for you to like be like, oh, maybe I should go back to that thing that hurt me. That's not great. I'm not positive about that. I do see the tongue wound is here as well, which suggests to me that like there's things that you couldn't say before, um, that maybe you're just letting go of. I'm seeing release, which is suggesting that ooh, Laura, you live in Northern Europe. Yeah, I bet that'd be really cold if you went outside. Where I'm at right now, there's been pretty nice weather out. So, like, even though summer hasn't started here, I sure am just like, what if we just went outside? Because it's pretty nice out. I might go out and have lunch. I shouldn't do that. I'll go make lunch in my kitchen like a boring person. Yeah, this weekend looks like honestly you might like heal from things that were big issues in the past, and thinking about the good parts of it might not be the worst thing. And if you do heal from it and you can let go of things you couldn't say before because it's time to let it go rather than you just never found the time, might as well give up. I guess this is probably a good reading for you emotionally. However, the mind, there's a lot going on there that looks like there could be frustrating situations dropped in your lap. And I think that's annoying. I don't want to be annoyed. This is the monkey face right here, which is usually just about like kind of like unbridled anger. Um, and it's just really giving me the mood that I'm gonna be frustrated this weekend by things, and I don't want to do that. Uh, maybe my ex will get back with his ex, which would be the worst thing. What horrible things could happen this weekend for you that would make you angry about things? Tell me in the comments. Laura, okay. You did ask earlier, so I should do your question. You live in Northern Europe. It'd be rather cold if you went out. More in the sense, when will summertime start? Meaning nicer weather, and what other signals that summer is coming? Huh. Yeah, Kimber, tell us about your movie marathon while I roll some more dice. Wow, this is a ton of dice. Laura, I don't know why I'm reading so many dice for you suddenly, but we're doing it. Woo! Wow. Multiple dice are running away here. Let's see if I can get them onto the camera for you. There we go. Laura, signs of summer. We're starting the core with rebuilding and gifts given. It looks like, Laura, you should be expecting to receive some kind of gift that leads to summer. And very particularly, it looks like you will be in action of rebuilding things in life. This could be literal physical things that you are rebuilding, maybe that have fallen apart, but more likely rebuilding here is dealing with like changing things that you have not been working on lately. So when you get to a point where a gift is given to you from someone else and you're working on maybe repairing relationships, or you're working on repairing things in your life that you've kind of let fall into disrepair, that is an important sign that summer is upon you. In mind, I see sex, I see helm, and the tempter. It looks like you will get into a space where you're being tempted by other people who are kind of pulling you along on a journey. You will have weathered some isolation here and come out the other side when people start showing up in your life again, which is this sex face, and you have physical contact with other people, connections. It will be time that you recognize it's summer. Basically, when people return to you in a way that maybe you haven't experienced people lately, where they're physically in reach, where they are moving around in your daily life, that's when you're going to have a sign that now is the time to go out in the world again. I do see endings out in summer. It looks like you have a lot of worry and fear. Uh, yeah, and I was just reading the chat, sorry. Endings. This is the fear diet. It's the fear of endings, and it's going to really loom over summer. It looks like part of what your summer will entail will be people looking out for things that are coming to a close. It's going to feel like maybe there's limited time to take part in summer, and so everyone's going to kind of be rushing to accomplishing things. We have Tell's Breeze out in summer as well, though, which is telling me that there's a lot of external motion that you can just kind of follow along with. You don't super need to worry about making everything happen. You don't need to worry about rowing against the current here. There's going to be a rush of wind, and you're going to kind of just open your sail and go with it. There's good intentions that sometimes don't work out always, tied to rebuilding, which is telling me that maybe you should really be mindful of what you focus your time on in summer, because if you really focus on rebuilding relationships that aren't maybe going both ways on that street, that you may be wasting some of your moments. And there appears to be limited time. In material, I see Rowan, and of course the gift. It looks like there's going to be good protection and defense placed for you. Other people are going to do work to support you in this space. And then over here, we do have the falling moon and wheel. We have the rising moon. That was the isolation I already mentioned, and radio, which was lost off the map here. In your heart, it looks like you're going to be really spending a lot of time following your intuition, chasing your dreams perhaps. And also it looks like news is going to come to you, but not for a while. That's really going to affect you emotionally tied to this. Since it was on its own, I'm not seeing if it's good or bad news necessarily, but the radio usually deals with the spreading of information and sometimes the spreading of like negative information. So yeah, summer is coming. You will know it when you are given a gift and people suddenly return to you. Your period of isolation comes to a close. And that's when you'll know it's time. Even if it's not quite warm out yet, it will be time to begin moving and acting. Kimber, Everything Everywhere All at Once is super fantastic. I really, really loved that movie. It's great. It's wild. It's fun. Um, all the Marvel movies you fell behind on, depending on where you fell behind. Sorry. I have watched all the modern superhero stuff from like the last 30-ish years. I've watched all the shows, the live action, the cartoons. I've watched all the movies, the live action, the cartoons. Just superheroes, Marvel, DC, third parties, etc. Um, and someone was like, "Well, what's your favorite Marvel movie?" And I just kind of stared blankly, and I was like, "I don't know that I like Marvel movies, to be honest. I generally find them pretty frustrating, for all the things that they fail on." I don't know that I have a favorite. And then I was like, "Gosh, maybe I don't even like Marvel movies, but I've watched all of them." Where did you leave off? Like, what all do you have to catch up on? I'm like actually nervous for you because some of them are really not great. Everything Everywhere All at Once will be great. The Marvel movies maybe less so. Robinks. How about a reading to help communicate and deal with my grad professor that doesn't seem to listen to me? We just seem to have differing ideas about how my project should go and general work things. Robinks, that's so relatable. I When I was doing my master's, my my grad school advisor, who was supposed to be helping me with my book, just really did not help me in like any way. She just didn't get what I was doing, and she just didn't care to. And she was like, "I think you should read these books before you write anymore." And I was like, "Okay." And we didn't ever really talk about what my project was or what I was trying to accomplish. She just did not care. She was just like, "Well, I disagree with what you're doing, and these are books you should read that will fix what you're doing." And I'm like, they didn't. But thanks, though. We dropped off with the Spider-Man movie where they set him up in the media as a bad guy. Yeah, okay. You've got a few to watch then. Yikes. That's No Way Home? What'll happen after No Way Home? I feel like the Eternals happened after No Way Home. You have a lot to catch up on. Good luck. I believe in you. There's some good ones. But there are also some that I was just like, God, this. Why did this happen? Mostly the TV shows. Good luck. All right, Rubbings, let's talk about grad school. Ooh, that did not leave. It is still on the mat. It's just not hard to see. Ooh, the chaos die. I'm just grabbing dice at random now, so the chaos die gets to join us quite a bit. Nothing in the core whatsoever. There's no simple fix here, or there's no one fix. Yeah. We have ideals, which is kind of your loyalty to your ideals, and the carriage here. Robanks, it does tell me that you are in a position where your loyalty to your ideas is, you think, bringing you to the end of a journey, which is where you're mentally at, which would suggest like that's what the other person's not seeing here. They don't necessarily understand what like the ideal is that you were relying on. Um, they don't maybe see what you see. Within, I see Sin's bones. You can really see literally the bones of what you're working on. And because you understand the structure of it, that is really a strong part of what the foundation is for you, and what maybe you're unwilling to look at in a new light or change, because you can see the actual skeleton. Your body, I see jackpot, which is telling me that your actions in the external world feel like everything's perfectly in line. But let's see what is an autumn. We have the demon and the anchor. Demon is usually a fight that you do not win, or that you win with great cost. And the anchor here is telling me that this is like a non-budging point for the demon. It is heavily anchored here and it has a strong home and it has no interest in moving. That I assume is going to be the the person that you're dealing with, who is not being very helpful. In spirit, I see the pillar of goals. You have very clear goals in your heart that you are trusting and relying on. I'm also seeing progress in your work, but I am seeing blank on the chaos die, which is kind of tell me like I'm reading everything in this area with absolutely no additional context. Um, Way out here, we did have liberation get lost in winter. Um, it didn't actually leave the reading. It's just way out here off camera, lost in a more literal sense of not being on the camera. Uh, the really easy advice here is you have to sit down and figure out what this anchor is, because this is the sole problem. The demon is something you can face. It's really difficult. You can face his scrutiny and you can come out the other side somewhat victory, right? Somewhat victorious. But it does mean that you're going to lose some stuff along the way. But with the anchor here, it's like completely immovable, like unmoving. You need to figure out what the anchor is and why he's unwilling to compromise. Like, just have an outright conversation and be like, this is what I'm working on. Like, this is the bones of it. This is exactly what it means to me. It's exactly what I'm working on and what I want to accomplish. I need to know why you won't move. Why won't you meet me in the middle and at least see what I'm doing? Why do you have this strong idea that it's just incorrect or that you need me to do this thing? So you just need to ask, like, what is the intention of you being unmoving towards my project? Because you have the goals here. You believe things are working in your direction. You have loyalty to the ideal of what you're working on. You see the bones of it. Like, you've got all of this going. In order to make this budge, you just have to get this anchor to move. And if it can, then like you can still deal with this person. It's still going to be difficult. It's not going to just get better magically. However, without the anchor, keeping him here, like this person's more mobile. And even if it's a difficult fight to get what you want, it can still be done. But you've got to remove this. You've got to. Oh, do, 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 do. Oh, so many things to read. Yeah. Did Marvel screw the pooch? What a great question. Yeah, with the demon face there, Banks, like I'm already seeing like this is a difficult fight no matter what. Um, it just always will be. Even if you start making progress, it's still a fight. So dig in. You know what you want. You know exactly what it is. I think one part of it is just maybe sitting down with him and being like, this is my exact thing I'm doing. This is my trajectory. This is what I want to accomplish. What do you disagree with? And why do you want it different? And at one of those points, you just got to be like, if you cannot articulate what the problem is, you have to get out of the way, right? Like, you can't obstruct me and then not have an answer or a reason. It's a bit of a it's a bit of a moment where you just go like, I'm fighting you right now. What are you gonna do about it? And if you don't have any real answers, then like I don't actually care. Shrug. Maybe that's a little rough, but that's my kind of take. I hate when someone's like, I just don't agree with what you're doing, but I'm not sure why. And you're like, then I don't care. If you can't actually explain to me what the problem is or why you're going to stop me, then I'm not worried about you saying no to the problem, right? Especially if it's something that you're doing that he's just supposed to be supporting you on. Like, like I don't care. This is my project that I'm working on. Either you're on board or you're not. Get out of the way. Ugh, that's such a stressful kind of person. Uh, B&W, I feel that Marvel did kind of screw the pooch, but I've heard promising things about Thunderbolts. Um, as I've said, I've watched all the modern superhero things, which means that I have already seen Thunderbolts. And it was actually really fun. I had a good time. I will say, I feel like the direction is good, but the general thing that I'm hearing now is like their main goal is to make it so people do not have to have seen the previous things to get what's happening anymore. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably good because otherwise people have to do so much homework to know what's happening in these movies anymore or these shows. But at the same time, you've created all this stuff and it's been interconnected. So if you stop interconnecting it now, it's going to feel like kind of a disappointment for the fans who have really dug in, right? Thunderbolts is fun, but I've actually enjoyed a lot of the things that happened lately. I didn't actually see the new Captain America movie. It looks really bad. I will watch it when it's on streaming. I just don't want to pay for it. Uh, um, yeah, wow. Thea Quinn, my 13-year-old was just diagnosed with osteoporosis. What I want to know is if I'm going about helping in the right way, specifically with vitamins and exercise. I know nothing about osteoporosis. I am not a doctor. I can't necessarily tell you whether or not you're helping the right way. I can give you a reading that can tell you a story about what the dice are telling me, and hopefully we can see if it lines up with maybe what you're trying to accomplish. And Kimber, that's the problem, right? Because all the MCU projects are in the same world generally, um, each movie and TV show should change the world for the next project. They were going so quickly, though, that they couldn't actually refer to things that were coming out just before their movie because everything was like being up in the air so much that a movie would come out where something huge and game changing happens and the next movie would happen and it wouldn't know, like the next 3 movies and TV shows would come out and they wouldn't reference it at all because too many things were overlapping and they didn't always know what had happened in the most recent piece of media. So um, it's probably helpful for them to do a better job at that by slowing down and making fewer projects. Okay, Thea. Um, I have the influences die in the center here. I also have the pillars die. We have faith and arcane influences. It's telling me that things are beyond your control, things that are affecting the situation, your child, are not things that you necessarily fully understand yet. And they're also things you don't have any power over, but you're really relying on your faith to get through it. Faith in this can mean so many things, right? It typically leans religious, but it can also be like the faith in your role as a parent for your child, right? The faith in the universe to provide for you if you do the right things and you try. Um, I have a very tight set of things here. We have progress and hobby. We have the dark owl, and we also have the quill. In kind of a little square here with faith, which is telling me that these things are maybe upholding each other in some ways. It looks like you're spending some of your time on the side really researching this and diving in. You're also like putting in the time and effort to like learn about it and create out of it, make lists, make understanding. And the dark owl here is maybe the dark horse of this section where I'm not entirely sure what it's doing. Um, it looks like in relying on all these things and spending your time on this, you maybe are interacting a lot with this very like helpful space of wisdom. You've done all this observation to make sure that you are mentally prepared and ready to do the right thing. Everything there is telling me like you are putting in the proper amount of effort, right? Maybe even more than necessary to make sure that you understand what's happening. Over here in body, We do have emergence and carriage, which is telling me that there's kind of a journey that's been happening in front of you, and you're watching someone change in a way that's really challenging your perception of them. Way out here, I see dance. Um, and it looks like, generally speaking, you're handling it in stride. You're doing a really good job at keeping joy alive in your life and in your actions. So I would say that more importantly, maybe than just how you're going about helping, you're also being very helpful by being like a positive energy in the space. Um, it's easy when people receive diagnoses like this that they feel like everything's changing and it's very negative. And for you to maintain an element of play and joy through it, hopefully is definitely like the right thing. Is helping, right? Um, I would say it is, right? Keeping a smile on your face, whatever way it is, however it works, is usually very, very nice for this. I do see loyalty to capital and void over here, which is telling me that there's something happening here materially where um, the necessity of money in this situation is probably a very, very obvious big thing that's going to change some of your worldview and how you think about your life and what is most important to you. Having the money available to afford treatments, vitamins, and exercise, and the time to be there for your kid is definitely going to be something that's going to be very stark for you to see change in your life and the things that maybe are the most important. Because this dealing in material and how the material world is affecting you, I'm really going to assume like the costs of everything that are tied to this are going to add up a little bit in a way that makes you all the more aware of your relationship to capitalism and money and how important it is for you to make it. In spirit, I see the mask and I'm also seeing disability um, on the redacted die. It looks like there's probably going to be a lot going on here with identity for yourself, not even your kid, but yourself in how you feel you have to put on a mask for the day to bear the burdens of things. There's going to be a lot here where you feel like maybe you don't have people to talk to about what it takes to work through some of this. And I would say that just this is something to be really mindful of to make sure that you are finding support for yourself as well. Um, because it's not just about you, obviously, but it is also about you, right? When someone who's really important to you, especially someone who's in your care, like your child, um, is diagnosed with something like this that is going to be life altering, it's really easy for parents to fall into the space of like, I have to be there for the kid needs me, the kid needs me. But it is very easy for parents in these situations to stop paying attention to themselves and what they need and support that they still need. So I would make sure that during this process, you're doing a lot of work, a lot of good things are happening, you're doing the right thing. Make sure that you don't, leave yourself out of that care and that focus. You really could use other people who know what you're going through to talk to. If there are support groups that you can get a hold of, even if it's a once in a while thing, having that will just help you feel a little bit less like you're putting on a mask for your child and the world around you, and make sure that your emotions are still tended to. I am, I guess, more than happy to do a reading about whether or not the MCU will dig itself out of a rut. um, and I really want to say that with such a huge caveat, right? While I already just crap talked a bit the MCU, of course, yeah. I've been doing a lot of silly readings today. I feel that one was more serious. I hope you don't feel like I just moved on and I'm like, anyways, next. But I am just like, you know, messages are personal and private. And since I'm not actually there personally and privately with you, I'm like, this was your message. Okay, end message. Now back to the group. Just because I don't have you here. I feel like when I have people present with me for readings, I really like sit with them and talk through it a bit. But it's hard to do in this setting where I'm just kind of projected at you, and then it's up to me to whether or not I actually even read the chat. It sounds terrible. Mm-mm. But yeah, best of luck, Thea, honestly. But back to the MCU. God kill me. Uh, as much as I am crap talking the media generally, I will say, like, there's so much that goes into these, and even when we're like, oh, some of this is kind of garbage, like the Eternals, I really didn't like that movie very much. I felt like it was handled really badly. But when you hear what the director was doing and how the cast felt about it, like, it really changes my connection to that film. And I think that's because I went into it for a Marvel movie, and there was something really beautiful and unique being done there that I just wasn't really respecting much because it was comics. Um, so I don't know. Did they have a rut? Is it just that they were reaching in so many directions and their core fan base didn't like the changes? It also doesn't help that, like, they were centering women in a lot of things, and the internet's just horribly misogynistic in a way that I'm not going to say it never was before, because of course misogyny's always been around. It's always been like really big, but like I feel like now more than ever, like, there's some whiny boys on the internet who are so mad that women are alive and that they're in their media. I hate that so much. So, like, people really were crap talking the Marvels, and that there was nothing wrong with the Marvels movie. It was a little too light and silly in a lot of ways, but like, I had fun. And I don't know what people want more than fun. Isn't it the point of the comic movies generally? So, okay. Uh, will the MCU dig themselves out of their rut? I see sword and shield and really, really quick action. They're acting quickly to kind of be their own defenders, which is good. There's some puppetry going on. They're always going to be very beholden to the fan base, which is really difficult because the fan base is massive and sprawling and doesn't agree on things. So they have the jester hat here, which is telling me that, like, the Thunderbolts, which just happened, and I just watched and I enjoyed. It was good. I think that there was stuff missing from it. I would have liked cough cough. Yeah, things they removed for no reason. Um, but I think that they're still, like, kind of new on this journey of trying to please people, and in doing so, there's definitely going to be a worry that, like, they're going to make more missteps along the way. The Thunderbolts aren't indicative of what the quality will be for the future, but it is indicative that they're trying, which means they can still make missteps. The material, they're looking at the past as though it's dead, which I'm not super excited about as someone who watched all the nonsense. But it does mean that a lot of the things that have come before now are going to be left behind, which is unfortunate. Over here, I see that there's a depth of material that's present, and unfortunately, the depth of material that's present is going to always make this a difficult thing to bridge between what they're making and how it resonates with the fan base. There's just too much to pull on, and it's very alone on its own here. However, it's leaning towards wheel, which is suggesting to me that the depth of this may actually be to their benefit. Not everything has to be tidied. Not everything has to be a narrative thread that comes back, because there's so much present that they could actually just grab what's immediately relevant. Maybe leave some things out that weren't actually going to help the story. That could be really good for them. Maybe they'll focus on, quality over quantity. We do have the bricks here on Spirit tied to Haste, which is suggesting to me that they're really trying to lay a strong foundation and make sure that they're more mindful of the story they're building up rather than just having a bunch of separate stories going, which is probably good for them, because they've made it all interconnected and now it's hard to unconnect them. So will the MCU figure themselves out? They're trying. It looks like good things can come of that. It's really wild because some of the best things that they've put out that I have actually enjoyed have been the things that I think very few people were asking for, right? Like WandaVision, Agatha All Along, those were delightful projects. The Thunderbolts feels like it kind of came out of left field. It was really good. Werewolf by Night was really good. Um, some of the other things less so. Eh. My pampered, very fluffy cat, his name is Cinnamon, is spending all morning wandering the house yelling, "Wah!" What is he trying to tell me? Fear and Ramen, number one, I'm going to assume wants food. Because that's why my cat walks around screaming. He would like a food. Or he just pooped. These are the two experiences of a cat. Feed me, or the food came out of me. That's it. Cinnamon wants you to know that there's a lot to do today, and you're not doing it. I feel a sneeze. I don't want to sneeze. We haven't seen Tom Bombadil today. How is he? What do you mean you haven't seen him? What are you implying? I didn't lock him up anywhere. I didn't bury that cat 8 feet in the ground. I imagine he's just laying in bed still. I left bed earlier than normal today, and when I do, he usually just stays there because he's like, "What are you doing?" So I imagine he's curled up in my spot in the bed where there was body heat hours ago. Yeah, Cinnamon says there's work to be done. It's burning day. There's cool stuff that we could be doing. I am seeing ceiling next to the quill. I'm seeing the quill so much lately, and it's weird because I usually think of the quills like writing. What's your cat writing? Cat's writing a manifesto and sealing it. In body, I'm seeing gift giving. Cinnamon would really like you to give a gift. It's probably food related. There's anxiety. Ooh. Is your cat food anxious? It might not even be food, but I do see gift giving really important right here. Would like to get a gift. Would like to maybe give a gift. I do see the hole over here and deepest night. Your cat has a very rich mind. It has things that your cat is trying to hide from you, but also your cat feels so lonely. Yeah, that's so sad. Go pet your cat. Go pet Cinnamon. Cinnamon is very pampered, but not pampered enough. Walking around the house going, "Wah." Pay attention, please. So lonely. Material, nothing. Literally nothing. You're not doing anything for Cinnamon, and that's unfair. Why aren't you feeding Cinnamon right this minute? Why aren't you giving Cinnamon pets right now? Are you even trying? Didn't think so. In spirit, I see release and bargaining. Yeah, there's definitely a bargain attempting here. Just wants attention, wants food, wants things, wants generally. Yes, you understand, Fear and Ramen. You have been a neglectful owner, not sufficient. You need your sole focus on him. If you do not only focus on Cinnamon, are you trying at all? Humans. Tom Bombadil plushie win. If I did a Tom Bombadil plushie, there would have to be like cute little accessories. He would need like a little Tom Bombadil outfit. He would also need like a Tom Bombadil wife. Goldberry was her name, I think. I'm not yawning. I'm not tired. I'm very tired. I woke up at 8 a.m. for no reason. Because I set an alarm for something tomorrow. And dice for him to eat. Yeah, Tom Bombadil would love to eat some dice. My sweet baby boy, that dweeb that he is, he would love to eat a dice. I do kind of want to let him go with the die once and see what he does. Because he does get it in his teeth and then get up and try to leave. So I'm curious what that's about. Like, where's he going to take it to play with? Because he does that with other things. He'll, like, grab, like, pins, like enamel pins off my desk. He'll just, like, grab this, and then he runs away. And then I follow him, and he just sets it on the ground and bats it around. Like, I don't think he's gonna try to actually eat the die. I think he wants to go take it on the floor and roll it around where it goes clicky clack. And like I get that. That's fun. That's relatable. What am I eating for lunch today, y'all? I have hot dogs. I've been making really good hot dogs. I've been slicing up onions and cooking them with the hot dogs on the stove, putting that in a bun, a toasted bun with butter, mayo, and some cheese, um, ketchup, mustard. Hot dogs are delicious. I don't know what prompted me to get hot dogs. I have not bought hot dogs at the grocery store for quite a while, but I was just like, it's the day. I also bought stuff to make grilled cheese because someone in this chat told me to make grilled cheese sandwiches, and that sounds delicious. But then I didn't buy any soup, so what was I doing? I don't know. But I have a loaf of bread that I need to start eating, and I don't have sandwich things. Someone help. My family's dying. I bought them grilled cheese, but no soup. Yeah, hot dogs. I mean, how can you go wrong? Like, ugh, hot dogs are great. Grilled cheese is great. These are very simple things that I have bought to cook. But, gosh. I also bought these, like, frozen shrimp dishes from Red Lobster. They were fine. I didn't hate them. If they weren't on sale, uh, I would not have bought them. This is gonna be a problem for my evening stream. In like 4.5 hours. If I am sleepy already, this is gonna be an issue, y'all. Because I am a sleepy guy, and I don't do coffee and I don't do energy drinks. Do I have canned chili? I don't. If I did, that would work with grilled cheese too. Yeah, grilled cheese can just go with pretty much anything. But I don't have anything, so I'd have to go to the store and get it. I also have this frozen like fried cod, but I don't have any tartar sauce, and I just don't think I want to eat frozen fried cod without tartar sauce. This is my life. This is what I'm turning the stream into. Black tea. What? What do you mean? Oh, for caffeine. All right, wake me up. Take a nap. I don't do naps. I'll lay there in bed and like just stare and then never get to sleep. So no naps. Naps are not a thing for me. Once I've woken up, it's over. Which is why when I woke up at 8 because of my dumb alarm I accidentally set, I just kind of like laid in bed and like did nothing until around 9. I'm not able to nap. That's not me. Actually, on the goblin die, this face right here, obsession, which is about just staying up all night and being unable to sleep. That's. I mean, this die is about me very specifically, but that one is just like when I get an idea, or a new project I want to think about, I literally just can't sleep, and it'll be like 4 or 5 a.m. and I'm still just like, why can't I go to sleep now, please? Please stop thinking about the new thing. let's sleep now. Yeah, I have an auto feeder for my cat, Tom Bombadil, for any of you who do not know you. Tom gets fed 4 different times a day because he begs me for food too much. It's so annoying. And his last meal, I guess technically the first meal of the day, is at 2 a.m. And it's there because that's when I usually am finally about to get to sleep, and it feeds him and makes him complacent so that he'll sleep while I'm sleeping, which is great. So generally, my cat does not wake me up to be like, feed me. I used to be like a 5 a.m. feeder for him, but when I had the auto feeder set to 5, he'd still wake me up at like 4 and then 4:30, and then at 5 it'd finally dispense. So I changed it to 2 a.m. so that he gets a really, really, really early breakfast, but then he just lays and is sleepy with me. I'm sure it's not helping his biorhythms, but I need sleep. If a kitty wake me up, I'm ruined, my friends. I'm ruined. We have 25 more minutes in this stream. I'm happy to do another reading for anyone if anyone has any readings that are pressing them. I'm also happy to end the stream early today so that I can go eat. I guess a hot dog is what I said I would eat. I have other things I can make. Everything I have is like frozen though. Otherwise, it's just hot dog. I did a bad job grocery shopping when I went the other day. I just bought a bunch of frozen crap. Ugh. Especially during this campaign, I feel like I'm usually busy all day, so I'm not trying to get anything I actually have to like cook because I don't have the time for that. Go eat your food. What, you don't want me here? You don't want to hang out with me? I see how it is, Kimber. You actually hate me. You resent me deeply. You want to kick me out. You're like, get off this stream so I don't have to see your ugly mug. Goodness gravy. Well, if no one has any questions for the dice, I mean, I'm going to do one last reading because I feel like the daily reading I did earlier today was sad. So this is my reading for you for the rest of your day. You don't eat on time ever. I do my best. What should be the rest of your day, everyone? Ooh, the rest of your day is leaning. Propaganda. Wait, propaganda and sheep? And the tongue wound? Oh no, maybe I don't want to read this. When's the Wanderer coming around? Remember when I said I had an alarm that woke me up at 8 a.m. today? And I was like, it wasn't even for today. There you go. Yeah, there you go, Kimber. That's for you to know. And the 11 people here, there is a Wanderer who's coming around tomorrow. My clue was really cool. I don't know if anyone actually solved it. Very few people solved the previous one, and I don't even know that they solved it. I think they just accidentally came around to the add-on. Whoops. Maybe I should make easier clues. I feel like last time I was doing all these clues, there were a lot more people on the project, so people were like working together to solve things. But oh well. Laura, my time zone is in all the clues. I mention it in every single clue. That's an important part of it. I am in Denver, but the clues tell you what time zone I'm in because I know that people will be confused about the time, so I always explain it. So look for my repetition there. I always mention where I live. For the rest of the day, there's propaganda sheeps and things you can't say. Oh no, that rhymed. I wasn't trying to rhyme. Save me for myself. It looks like you want to be held. I like how I said you, like it's someone else. Some clues are hard. You're not wrong. Oh gosh, I just see more Pope stuff. The rest of the day might have Pope things. Let's not worry about the rest of the day. You know what I'm saying? B&W, what do you do with your wisdom teeth when you get them out next week? Ask for them. Number one, ask for them. Don't let them throw them away. Ask for them so you can keep them. And if they have to like break them to pull them out and whatnot, ask for them even more so you can have all the little pieces. Keep your teeth. Keep your teeth. What should you do with your wisdom teeth? For your body, they're parts of you. They're parts of your foundation. That's really nice. You should keep them. I see guilt in spring from you not keeping them. I also see fear of others. Maybe you're a little afraid of the wisdom teeth operation, which is fair. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't be so cruel and rude, but that's fair. I actually still have all my wisdom teeth. I never got them out, and it's because I had missing permanent teeth. So they're just kind of filling in the space. But they're not doing that on the top. On the top, they are kind of pushing my teeth around. So uh, maybe I should get the top ones out. I don't want to. I used to have such perfect straight teeth. I had braces. But, rude. Oh no, I'm looking at my teeth now. I'm just thinking about teeth. This is the worst question. I see. Oh, this is really funny. Your obstacles emergence for what the world is going to be doing to you. Uh, Things are going to emerge. It's your teeth. And I see the closet, and also inevitability of the spirit. Um, it looks like you could probably do some fun stuff with them. If you do any ritual work or spiritual work, it could be really fun to do some like funerary things for them as parts of you that are leaving. Because like it's kind of inevitable that they would die. Take that, wisdom teeth. Hmm. That's just fun. It looks like it's probably gonna go well. They're being taken from you. You can keep them somewhere in some kind of container. Give them a little death. It is the end of their journey. Um, I'm seeing a lot of funeral type things around the teeth, so that's what I would suggest. Hmm. What's your guilt? Do you need to like actually let go of guilt through like a funeral of your teeth to like lay a part of you to rest, to let go of things that you've been struggling with? Because that'd be something really neat to do with them. Like lay to rest guilt that you've been harboring that you have no reason to be doing. Yeah, I'd do that. Yeah, don't sell your teeth to the Fae. That's probably a good idea of what not to do. A great idea of not doing it. Yeah, yeah. All right, y'all. Um, I will be back on in a little over 4 hours. Oh, goodness gracious. That's 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, MST, for people who are unaware of my time zone. uh, and yeah, I'm gonna head out early. I'm gonna go make my lunch because I'm really hungry. Because I woke up early today because of an alarm that woke me up at 8 a.m. for some reason. Who knows why I have an alarm set to get me up at 8 a.m. It really should be before 8 a.m. because something's supposed to happen at 8 a.m. So maybe I'll actually fix that to be like 7:45. Okay. Have a great day, y'all. I will see you later, and we can hang out for anyone who does happen to come around to that stream later. See, that's crazy. Why are you saying that's crazy? What's crazy? Tell me what's crazy. I need to know. Hmm. Kimber, you're keeping this from me. You can't keep secrets from your best friend. This person on the internet. I assume it was waking up early. I would never wake up early. Oh, yeah, that is crazy.